Hey Steelers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome to our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video here on a very crazy Wednesday. Of course, presented by our friends at BetQL. Go to chatsports.com/SteelersQL. Use discount code ChatSteelers for 25% off any of their subscription offerings to help you win money when you actually bet on sports versus losing money like most of us do. I've had a really good year. A lot of my stuff has come, a lot of my bets have come from BetQL. More information later on in the video and also down below in the description box. It's a weird Monday today. It's a very speculative Monday, right? There's some news. We'll talk about injuries later on this video and a lot of stuff. Big Ben being healthy, and the Broncos have a lot of injuries as well. We'll give you the full update in the injury report at the end of the video, but there's some speculative stuff we have to get into. None of this is going to for sure happen. That's a part of the rumor part. It's not an actual news, but the rumor part of the Jaylon Smith, and then we'll talk about Aaron Rodgers a little bit later on, starting, though, with Jaylon Smith. We've seen this a lot over the past 24 hours because Dallas suddenly just let go of one of their former star linebackers. Like, Jaylon Smith used to be, he was a Pro Bowler in 2019. He was a draft pick that they were very high on despite the injury coming out of Notre Dame, and they gave him a massive extension all the way back in 2019 as well, and then are going to cut him 5 games into the season, 4 games into the season. It at first seems weird, and then when you actually dig into it, it makes a lot of sense. So the Cowboys, of course, have released linebacker Jaylon Smith. They're still going to pay him majority of his base salary, about $7.2 million. Shows you how badly they wanted to get him off of their football team, leading a lot of Steelers blog websites, people tweeting at me at Real Thomas Mott, should the Steelers sign Jaylon Smith? And the short answer is no. The Steelers defense is good, but I'll explain why here in a second. First, let's see the ESPN write-up on the Jaylon Smith situation, provide some more, I think, clarity on this. Quote, Smith signed a 5-year, $64 million extension in 2019. That included $35.5 million in guaranteed money. For the season opener against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Smith started every game he played in from 2018 to 2020, was named to the Pro Bowl after the 2019 season. This season, Smith did not start any of the first 4 games. He was credited with 19 tackles and played in 148 of 264 snaps, end quote. So that's kind of the important part to note here, is that Smith used to be good, but the Cowboys have done so well picking linebackers that they actually like the linebackers they have more than Jaylon Smith, to the point that they feel confident they can let Jaylon Smith go, even though he was a tackling machine last year. 154 tackles, it's nothing to just scoff at. I mean, the guy was really, really good last season. So, before I get into why I don't think they need Jaylon Smith, I'll ask you guys, though, should the Steelers sign the linebacker Jaylon Smith? You think they should? Type Y down below for yes. Think they should not? Type N down below for no. Be a pin comment here. Go down below, be an ad break, just scroll down, answer the pin comment, Y for yes, N for no. Now, I'm not saying that Jaylon Smith's a bad football player and the Steelers sign them, I'd be mad. I'd be fine with it. They just don't need Jaylon Smith. Like, there's no need for Jaylon Smith on this defense. Linebacker is not the issue when they have given up points. The issue right now to me is more in the secondary, and the fact that the front 4 is not getting as much pressure as you would like. I think TJ Watt's injuries have had a big role in that. But I think as you look at it, they have better things that they can spend their money on. I would have liked Stephon Gilmore. I think that would have made a lot more sense. But if you just, this video's coming up later on a Wednesday. Maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. Carolina traded for Stephon Gilmore, so that eventually died before it could go ahead and get started. The linebacking core is fine, though. I mean, as a Steeler fan, you guys should understand just how good these linebackers are. Again, if they got Jaylon Smith on a discount, if he came out and said, hey, I want to be a Steeler, I'll sign for less than going to play for, I don't know, the Eagles who need a linebacker, or, the Bucks don't need a linebacker, but you get my point. For the right price, anyone would be happy to have, in my opinion, Jaylon Smith, but I don't think the Steelers need to spend any of their cap space on a linebacker who is aging, and also, again, he's not that old, but still aging in terms of football years, but also has seen a decline in the tackles, and they didn't even start him the first 4 games this year, 4 games, not 5 games, and so there are indicators as to why Dallas would let him go, meaning why other teams should go ahead and steer clear, and the Steelers are definitely one of them. Now, they do have the cap space to do so, right? Smith was making about $7 million this year, so if you wanted to pay him a little bit less than that, the Steelers are 9th right now in total cap space. Chargers are 7th with $11 million. Seahawks have about $11 million as well. The Steelers, according to Over the Cap, are like $10.9 million. And you have the Browns at $10.85 and the Texans at $8.27. So they have the money to do so. If you really wanted him, the Steelers could make that move. I just don't see this being a necessity or something that would turn the season around, right? The Steelers are 1-3 for a lot of reasons. The fact that they have poor inside linebacker play is not one of those reasons. The offense is the main issue. We talked about Big Ben. We'll talk about him a little bit later on in today's video. The secondary being a little banged up. They're not playing that great. That's an issue as well. I think that the play calling on offense has been an issue, but linebacker has not been one, and so I would steer clear of Jaylon Smith. But again, if they sign him, we'll cover it, and we'll talk about it here on today's video. Now, before we get into the Aaron Rodgers discussion, which is probably what brought you to this video, because there's some crazy quotes by Aaron Rodgers about the Packers this week. More on that in a second. First, a shout out to our friends again at BetQL and their best bet computer model that gives you, in my opinion, one of the best advantages over your sportsbook and chances to win money this season. I've been using BetQL this year, and I'm in the green. I've won way more bets than I have actually lost them, because no one's actually a perfect bettor, but BetQL gives the best chances for the best recommendations for every single game across all major sports in terms of spreads, over-under, player prop bets, and their 5-star bet recommendations telling you why you should bet this game versus a different game. Head on over to chatsports.com/SteelersQL. Get started right now. Use the discount code ChatSteelers at payment for 25% off any of their subscription offerings. And of course, you get the app, the website. All of it is down below right now in our description box. Okay, so, of course, we lost the Steelers on Sunday, right? I mean, we all saw what happened. We know what happened. We can talk about that. However, it happened after the game that draws our attention to today's video in terms of Aaron Rodgers in his post-game press conference and in his recent visit with Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee Show every Tuesday. Rodgers was asked about Mike Tomlin and then the quotes he said about Mike Tomlin, and this has sparked a fury of rumors saying that, oh, well, with Big Ben struggling and probably not coming back next year, Rodgers is the leading candidate to go ahead and replace Big Ben Roethelisberger as the quarterback in the Steel City. So the speculation is going crazy right now, even though we're a long way away from this actually being something that could happen for our Steelers in terms of, the 2022 NFL offseason is what we're talking about right now. So first, here's Aaron Rodgers via the Pat McAfee Show. I'll throw it up on your screen. Quote, "I'm just speaking the truth. If you ask me a question about Mike Tomlin, I'm going to tell you how I feel about Mike Tomlin. If you want to take that and run with it and say I'm angling for some sort of next team or something, I'm not. I'm just answering the question about my respect for Mike and what he has done in the league, and the same for when I talk about Big Ben Roethlisberger. I'm a big Mike Tomlin fan. I've been for a long time. I like the way he speaks about his team. I like the way he goes about his business. I like his confidence. I've heard nothing but good things from guys that have played there," end quote. So again, this is a combination of things he said to Pat McAfee, and then, more quotes he said during his post-game press conference. Here's the deal. I'm not going to throw a ton of fire on fuel on this fire, because it's not anything guaranteed, but let's do the math here. The Steelers will need a new quarterback in 2022. Like, everyone can see that. You're sitting there at 1-3, and the main reason why you're 1-3, honestly, is Big Ben. Like, we love Big Ben. We appreciate Big Ben. Big Ben has done amazing things for Pittsburgh, but this is Big Ben's final year. And so you can either go into a very weak 2022 NFL draft quarterback-wise and spend a first-round draft pick on a Sam Howell or a Spencer Rattler, or, insert your favorite quarterback this year and draft him, or you can make a run at Aaron Rodgers. And even though it's not necessarily an easy thing to do, it'd be very, very difficult. The Steelers will have money when they get out of the Big Ben contract, and so I think that there is some legit, thought to this in terms of making sense for Pittsburgh and also making sense for Aaron Rodgers. Like, if you're Aaron Rodgers right now, at the end of your career, what do you want? You want weapons, and you want a great defense. And the Steelers have both of those things. Now, the offensive line is definitely an issue, but you know that the Steelers could go out and draft somebody in the first round, spend that first-round draft pick, or just sign somebody in free agency and give him a little bit better protection. He has a running back, he has great weapons on the outside, and the defense could win a lot of games for the Steelers. So I think this could make sense, but again, I don't want to get too crazy speculative here and say that it's going to happen, because we're only 4 to 5 games into the season. So, let's put this on the back burner, come back to it in the offseason, but the fact he talked about Mike Tomlin and his love for him is definitely why we're talking about it right now. Of course, if they do sign him or trade for him, whatever it is, it's going to be crazy. How excited would you be? Like, would you go absolutely bonkers if they signed Aaron Rodgers and they got him to be in the Steel City? On a scale of 1 to 100, how crazy would you go? How excited would you be? I mean, is there like more than 100? But from 1 to 100, give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. All right, before we get into the Bronco matchup, a lot of injury news to jump in on here in just 1 second. Quick shout out to our friends at BetMGM, and it's a great place to go ahead and put your deposit down to get betting on all sports, not just the Steelers, but all major sports right now. Chatsports.com/SteelersMGM is the place to go, where you sign up and create a BetMGM account, deposit $10 into your account, and then bet the $10, and you'll receive a free year. We talked about it earlier of BetQL to help you use your money wisely whenever you are betting with our friends at BetMGM. The link is down below me in the description box. Jump on this deal right now, because the free year BetQL is, almost worth it in and of itself. All you do is deposit $10 into your BetMGM account. All right, couple of injury news here, and we'll wrap the show up. We'll start with, of course, the Steelers. So Big Ben is still dealing with a hip injury. I think he's still going to play on Sunday against the Denver Broncos. That is not necessarily guaranteed, but that's the one thing that Mike Tomlin was talking about in a press conference yesterday. Chase Claypool, of course, has been out with a hamstring injury. He could return this week, according to head coach Mike Tomlin. And, of course, Chuck's the left tackle coming back from a concussion. That's a very real possibility going into this season. Now, people are wondering when the Steelers are going to bench Big Ben, and because the hip injury is still lingering and he's playing poorly. Mike Tomlin was asked about this, and he kind of gave a resounding no, essentially, to benching Big Ben. Here's the quote when asked about it. Absolutely. What he does makes me really comfortable saying that. Everything except mobility. I don't have an answer for that or lack thereof. Ben used to be able to run really good when he was young, but those days are behind him. Other than that, I don't see much that's not a discussion of tech alterations. And so, again, talking about Big Ben being healthy, and he's asked, essentially, was Big Ben going to be the quarterback on Sunday? He says, absolutely, and then went on with the quote that we just showed you. I'll ask you guys this, though. Is it time for Big Ben to hang it up? I don't think he's going to do it during the season, but you think at the end of this year, he's going to go ahead and retire? Type Y down below for yes, or type N down below for no. Quickly here, the Denver injury lineup is interesting, and we need to mention it. Teddy Bridgewater is still in concussion protocol, did not practice yesterday. He has to get fully cleared to play. I think Drew Lock might play on Sunday unless Bridgewater is a healthy addition to the starting lineup. That to me is big news, because the Bronco offense is night and day different when Teddy Bridgewater is in there versus whenever a guy like Drew Lock is in there. That's why Bridgewater is the starter. Deontay Spencer has still dealing with a chest injury, the wide receiver. Patrick Surtain has a midsection injury is what they're calling it. He might not play on Sunday. And then Dalton Reisner, their guard, has an ankle injury. I think they're thinking he's going to go ahead and play, but both teams banged up right now. Steelers getting a little more healthy in terms of getting back Chuckson, of course, Chase Claypool, but the Broncos a little more injured in terms of Bridgewater and guys like Patrick Surtain. As we currently sit, the Steelers are a favorite here, which surprised me a little bit. They're -1.5 right now in terms of the recent sportsbook that I looked at in the betting line. I think being in Pittsburgh is definitely a helper here, but Denver is a team that has to go out and prove that they still belong in the top tier of teams in the NFL after really getting embarrassed at home by Lamar Jackson and a struggling Baltimore Ravens team. I think this is a big game for the Broncos, but obviously a must-win for the Steelers because 1-4 versus 2-3, it's going to be a massive difference. You guys know. Okay, who do you guys have? Give me your prediction down below right now, Steelers or Broncos. I want to see what you guys think down below right now in the comments section. We'll have plenty of more great content coming up for our Steelers here on the channel in the next couple of days and weeks. Make sure you guys are subscribed. We greatly appreciate it. But for our Pittsburgh Steelers news and rumor video, I'm your host, Thomas Mott. We're out of time. Signing off. Stay safe out there. Enjoy the rest of your day.